Hello everyone, my name is Andrew Bosher, and today I want to show you how to make a gated phaser and flanger effect that you can customize in Reason. And so we're just going to take a listen to what this whole device does real quick and the whole effect it has, and then we'll get started. Alright, so yes, it gates, it phases, it flangs, it does all kinds of stuff, and we're about to build it. So before we get started, I do need to point out that you can use anything for this effect. You can use whatever you want. I just chose to use a factory preset from Reason, ominous string choir, just some strings, and that's it. Like you can use drum loops, anything you like. But let's get started on building this thing. I do have a new project opened up here. And in the rack, let's start off by creating a combinator just to create a source of audio, essentially. So I'm basically just going to create a octo loop player, and I'm just going to browse for a very simple loop. I'm actually going to use a Dr. Rex instrument loop, and we're going to try to do some actual music and see how that sounds when it gets cut like that. So Mr. Furley, Steezy Roads, let's load it in. Very simple but very steezy. And so other than that, what we need to do is let's just make sure that everything is routed automatically. Main output of the Rex to the combinator, good to go there. And as you can hear, if we played it out, it's good. It's just a little sped up from the BPM here. So first and foremost, after we have our initial combinator with our initial source of sound, we're going to create another combinator so we can contain all these effects in a nice little bunch here. Now what we're going to do first and foremost is we're going to click into the combinator, right click, and we're going to make sure and create a few of these, actually two of them, spyder audio mergers and splitters, but we're just going to create one for now. We'll get to the other one in a minute here. What this is going to be used for is the dry signal for this. You can use this effect as a bus effect, a send, a return, whatever you want, but for this particular tutorial I'm going to show you how you can customize it to where you can just turn up or down the volume of the effect. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep the dry signal in a mixer channel all by itself. So once we have the spyder audio merger here and splitter, we're going to create a line mixer. So go to utilities and line mixer. Now hit tab to flip the rack, and we didn't hold shift, so it automatically routed to the from devices here, so it has an output, but we still have to route the combinator here to here for it to actually have any sort of effect. So what we're going to do is we're going to click and drag off these arrows from the main output of the Octorex, and you can always do it from the combinator, either way, and as a matter of fact we're going to do that. We're just going to click and drag from the combinator output instead. We're going to take the combinator output and we're going to put it into the split portion here, because what we're going to do is we're going to split it into one channel into the audio mixer, channel 3, completely random, I just wanted it there because it was right there, and then we're also going to put it into the combi output input here. So now that if we play it out, we actually still have something to hear. Alright, so if you're with me so far, very simple. We're just splitting the dry signal of this, so we have a mixer channel that we can manipulate, as you can hear. So we can turn down the dry effect when the wet effect comes up. Alright, so we're good there. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start creating this whole thing. So what we need to do is we need to flip the rack by pressing tab, and we're going to create another spyder audio merger and splitter. Okay, and what we're going to do with this one is we're going to, the two devices here, connect to devices in combi right here, and we're going to go to the merger section here. We're going to then route the merger to the first device in our chain, which will be a chorus. So right click, create a chorus, /Flanger. Now automatically it does route to the send and return effects here for the auxiliary. Go ahead and click and drag those off so it's disconnected from everything. And of course you can hold shift and create it. And what we're going to do is we're going to route the merged signal here from the spyder audio to the chorus and flanger input here. Of course we wouldn't have any output since it's not going anywhere yet. Now the reason real quick why I put the dry signal essentially into another spyder audio is I would like to, if I wanted to, put this into the send effect here, another signal from the merge signal. And you can actually create a feedback loop. I'm not going to really touch too much on it today. I'll definitely touch on it more on a future tutorial. But real quick, what we're going to do is we're just going to route this into a mixer channel just so we can hear what we have. As you can hear, it's layered on top of itself and it's really, really loud. But you can hear the chorus effect. But make sure to click and drag this off because we're not going to use that just yet. So we have a chorus and flanger here, and in the tutorial I just turned down the polarity a bit and kept the delay, mod amount, rate, everything pretty standard. I didn't really mess with anything. It was just more about the effect than the parameters. So what we're going to do now is we're going to right click on the flanger. We're going to create a phaser next. PH90 phaser. Press tab to flip the rack. And as you can see, it automatically routes to the phaser. The output does, but the phaser still doesn't have an output. So again, let's just route it to the first channel of the line mixer just to get an idea of what we're making. And again, you can hear it's pretty piercing. We'll fix that. I do recommend that when we're finished with this to turn down the levels of the effects. And I'll show you how, or not necessarily how, but what I'm talking about later on. Okay, so you have the signal going to the flanger, to the phaser, and then we have the dry signal here that's being played out on the third channel by itself. So what you can do is you can turn that down while the effects go up, and you can do some nice automation. That's what I did in the tutorial. Alright, so you have the phaser here. And in the tutorial, the sound that you heard before, I kept the mid pretty mid, the frequency pretty mid, sorry. I kept the split pretty high actually, and the width was half, and the frequency mod and rate were half. All of this was half. Feedback was about half, 64. And so yeah, it's not so much about the parameters. I leave that up to you to experiment with, but it's more about the routing here. Okay. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to send this to a delay. So right click, create an effect. We're going to use the DDL1 digital delay line. And again, press tab and you'll see that it is automatically routed. I'm going to decrease the dry and wet to 64. That way we have half of the dry signal that's not really dry, but the phase signal and the flang signal. And then we're going to keep the other half wet, of course. Keep the steps at 3, feedback, pan, and steps, whatever works for you is what's best. And so again, let's route it real quick and take a listen. It gets pretty loud, but again, we're gonna turn it down. Okay, so if you're with me so far, chorus flanger to phaser to digital delay line. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to take the output of the digital delay line and we're actually going to put it in the splitter portion of the spyder audio we have here. We're going to split the signal into a mixer channel. So now that we finally have something we can play out, and if you want to stop here, you can. It's completely up to you. But what we're going to do next is we're actually going to hold shift, right click, and we're going to create another effect. We're going to create an alligator. So the alligator filter gate is a really nice tool. I've talked about it before in a previous tutorial, and it's just really fun. So if you want a little more information on what this does, go to my other tutorial, and there's plenty of others online and on YouTube. Okay, so we split the signal here from the delay back into one mixer channel here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to split this, or we're going to take the second signal that we're going to split it into. We're going to split this into the input of the alligator. So the delay output is going to both its own mixer channel and then also to another effect, the alligator. Go ahead and press tab, flip the rack, and I'm just going to set some arbitrary parameters for this right here. I'm going to set it to pattern 23. That's what I used in what you heard before. Activate shuffle, increase the shift a bit. The amp envelope is really fun to mess with if you want more plucky filter gates. So we're going to turn down the decay of the amp envelope to about 27, turn up the amp envelope attack to about 24. Otherwise it starts to click because it's really fine and how fast it is. And definitely, of course, I recommend messing with all these parameters. And so if we played it out, we wouldn't hear anything from the gator. So let's route the main output of the gator to channel 2 of the line mixer here. Now if we played all these channels together, it'd be stacked on top of each other, it'd be really loud. You've already heard that before. So what I would recommend doing is actually basically automating the dry signal, the normal signal down, aka the normal loop that we've had from the very beginning, and also turning these two signals down. That way they don't overpower each other. I found a good medium of around 83 for the levels of these two. Now we're going to play it out, and then I'm going to mess with the levels of each device, and I'm going to show you exactly what's going on. So as you can hear, I just basically automated, or I just turned up and down the volumes of each channel and their effect. Now, the pattern of the gator does not work well with this loop, but of course you can use any loop you want. You know, it doesn't have to be a music loop, it can be a drum loop, it can be anything. So, you know, house, or sure, jack. Let's take a listen to what this has to do. Again, I'll just turn up and down things and show you what's going on. Alright, found a better pattern there for the hat loop, but as you can see in here, it's all about making sure that the levels of these aren't too high, and that, you know, if you want to do something to where you have the dry signal fade into the wet signal, you simply turn up these two channels while turning down this one channel. And of course you can always route that in the combinator here very simply. Just go to the line mixer, route rotary 1 to channel 1 level, rotary 2 to channel 2 level, and turn down the max value to maybe like 83. So when you crank this all the way to 127, it only goes to whatever you set it to as far as the max is concerned. And you know, you can always add more effects to this. You can add a reverb, you can add EQ, you can do whatever you want. I did add a little bit of reverb on the example that you heard, but other than that, this is it. This is the complete device for the effect, and you know, it's completely up to you how you use this. I am going to make this one available for download so you can mess with it. And so we're going to make this into ABB gated phaser Flanger tutorial. And I'll make that one available for you all. And that's it. We're all set to go. So real quick, I do have a brand new album out. It is RNG, Random Number Generator, and I had a lot of fun making it. And definitely, you know, if you want to listen to some new music, go check it out. I will have on my end screen at the end of the video some links, and I will also have a link to the album at the end in the description. So definitely check that out. And other than that, I got ABB workouts that you can check out, and a 7 songs 7 days tutorial. But other than that, we're all set to go. And thank you so much for watching. We are all students in this, so if you like the video, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to give it a like. Any comments, feedback, concern, please let me know. And we're all done here, so thanks so much for watching. See ya.